Great. We are live on YouTube. Thank you for joining me. If you want to make an introduction to yourself, let everybody know who you are and what you are up to.
Of course. My name is Andy. I'm a Snapchat filmmaker and storyteller. Snapchat is my main platform that I'm working on, and I kind of travel around the world in these different cities and just share my perspective through Snapchat.
So I imagine there was never such a thing even 5 years ago as a Snapchat filmmaker. How the heck do you become a Snapchat filmmaker? You must have some interest in film.
Yeah, it's yes, I do, but I've never had a background actually in filmmaking before, but I've always loved the art of it and like watching films and loads of and TV and stuff. So I kind of that it did not exist like 5 years ago, whatever. Like Snapchat was kind of starting up like I guess like 2012, 2013. And I was playing around with stories when they came out, and last year, I guess maybe like this time last year, I took a trip and I decided that I was kind of bored of all the stuff I was seeing on my Snapchat of just like people going out and just putting up these random clips, and like it was called stories, right? And no one was actually storytelling on it. So I figured I would just like document what I was doing that week in Switzerland on Snapchat. And people started to take to it, and it just kind of went from there.
That's great. How I came across you, Andy, was actually an app that we're both using called Snapped, and it's where you can store vertical video. And I recognize some of your stories on there. You're uploading them to this app. Our friend Russell has been making this app with his team. And so that's how I stumbled across you, but then followed you on Twitter, which then saw you were at this conference recently called VidconEU. So I want to dive into that. VidconEU, what is it? What did you learn? I got all kinds of questions, but let's start off with what is it?
Yeah, sure thing. Oh, that's really cool about Snap though. Yeah, it's a really cool platform, and Russell's awesome. But yes, so I was at VidCon this weekend, which is I guess it's like a big, I think it started out in Anaheim as a YouTube convention, I think primarily. I've never been to the one in the US, but I guess there's the one we're at. I assume it's similar to Anaheim. I'm just going to say it's probably along the same lines. But you can go in at 3 different levels. You can go in as I think they call it like a community pass, which just gives you access to the halls, and you can meet like your favorite YouTubers and internet stars and that kind of thing. And then there's a creator badge, which is what I went with, where you just go to a bunch of creators, and then you can go to a bunch of different talks with other creators and YouTubers and people in the industry, and you can network. And then there's an industry pass as well, which is for more like the brands and stuff, so they can learn from these creators about these new platforms and stuff. So yeah, it was a great weekend. Really, really cool that it was literally last Tuesday that I decided that I was going. So it's real short notice. I just sort of got a ton of messages about heading over there. And I was like, yeah, why the hell
not? And getting into it, what level did you go in at as far as being a person that joined the conference? And then short notice, what were you going in with as far as expectations, and did it meet expectations or exceed expectations?
Sure. I kind of went in as I knew I was going to be able to meet a lot of people. I knew it was going to be beneficial because I knew a lot of people who were going, especially in the Snapchat community, and I figured it'd be just a great place to meet more brands, especially in Europe and stuff. I've done a lot of work in the US. Not as much over here in Europe, so I figured that would be a great place to start. So I kind of went in at that level, and I think it met my expectations. There was definitely a lot to do. A lot of people I didn't get to go to as many talks as I wanted to, but mainly just because I was sort of either dragged away to an interview or dragged to like an event or to meet other people. So it was all good. From that side of it. So I don't like using the word networking, but that's kind of what it was, what I used it for mainly.
Right. I mean, I feel like it probably brings this digital conversation to real life and you actually like shake a person's hand, which seems super old school
Uh-huh.
nowadays.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is weird. And I went into a Snapchat panel, and there was actually a couple of people there who then came and introduced themselves to me, and they were like, "Oh, I watch your stories," and I was like, "Oh, this is weird. Actually meeting people in real life like that. Actually, it's not just a number on a screen or like a message. You know, it's actual people from like a different country." So that was kind of cool.
That is awesome. Do they give you access to the recordings of the speakers that you weren't able to attend? Is that going to be accessible to you?
I'm not 100% sure. I know I went to a talk about, I think it was like hacks and like monetizing YouTube and stuff, and the speaker himself said that you could download his like presentations off of their website, but that was like their individual company. Whether or not it was actually, yeah, I'm not too sure if it was filmed or not. But that would be a good idea if they don't do that.
I went to just social media marketing world about a couple weeks ago here in the States, and they do make them accessible. Now I know that all recordings are live. You have to have the membership, you know, to get access to them. But that's I was similar to you. I mean, I was spending so much time talking to people, I didn't get to as many things, and they had multiple going on at one time. So I'm very
Yeah.
excited to go back and study and learn about what I missed out on. What would you say the general conversation was at this conference related to Snapchat? Obviously, now with Instagram stories, Facebook Messenger stories, now disappearing
Yeah.
messages within Instagram and kind of playing off
Yeah.
of how Snapchat conversations disappear. What do you think the general feedback is of where Snapchat is headed, what people are doing within Snapchat? What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, it was, well, I guess I have my thoughts, and then there's also what people were talking about as well. Sort of on a broader subject of Snapchat and what was going down, it was a lot of 2017 is a year for influencers and influencers and macro influencers and stuff for brands working with them on these storytelling platforms. But the like itself, like with messaging and stuff, Snapchat, and what I've heard in like the Snapchat community as well, I think they're very aware of what's happening and what's going on. They have positioned themselves more as like now a camera company, and they make products, and Snapchat is just one of these products made by Snap. And every like last year, every update they released was killer. Like each time they release something new, and it's really big. And like we haven't had anything big since Spectacles, which was like November of last year. So I think they have a lot to come. I know a couple of people who have been talking within Snapchat with other people, and it seems promising. There's all this back and forth with Instagram and Snapchat stories. It's like you should probably try and do both. I'm trying to play with Instagram stories a bit, not in the same way as I'm doing with Snapchat. Primarily, I'm still on Snapchat because I haven't seen it dip off. Like Snapchat is still the platform I work with best. But brands, they seemed interested by it. People weren't turning away or thinking that it was dead or anything. Both Snapchat talks I went to, the rooms were full, which was really interesting. I think people like the one-on-one connection you can have with a person on the other end of it that you Snapchat, whether it being that like raw messaging app. So it seemed pretty positive. People are just trying to you get the people who are like, or the brands are like, oh, we don't really know how it works and stuff because it's completely different. You don't have numbers and stuff, but that's what people like about it so much. And I think that's what brands and companies are going to have to get used to, is the fact that it's to do with the content and storytelling rather than like your number. Because on Snapchat, you can't see the number, so it's all you have to judge it on the content and what is coming out rather than sort of like just looking at an initial number and then checking, oh, maybe I'll watch that, maybe I won't because it doesn't have this like X followers.
That's awesome. How about for VidconEU, would you recommend individuals to go to it? And if so, why? Why should they go to VidCon in Europe specifically?
Yeah, so I guess it totally depends on what the individual wants out of it. For me, the price, I think the price for a I just call it a community. I don't actually know what it's called. The badge that just sort of gets you in to see all the YouTubers and stuff in the main event. It's not that different from the price of a creator badge. And if you're going there like me as a creator and you're wanting to meet and mingle and network with other creators and brands, I think it's totally worth it. I met so many new people there. I got to hook up with a bunch of old people. I know some friends from the States. I got to do a bunch of collabs. So that was really valuable, meeting these people. Personally, I was saying this to my friend, I wouldn't go if I was just like a fan of just YouTube stuff, but you know, like maybe I don't think it's targeted for me, right? It was a lot of British YouTubers and stuff there who I'm not sort of in that, don't really know that much in that space, but I got a tremendous amount of value of going there as an actual creator, because the creators can actually meet the brands. So especially if you're here in Europe, it's like great because the normal VidCon is huge, right? But it's over in Anaheim, so like you have to fly all the way over to the States, whereas a lot of people can get to Amsterdam and Europe quite easily. Like literally, I booked my flight on Tuesday and we left on Thursday, and it was like an hour flight. So
that's great.
I think.
So what I'm hearing is, if you're a creator, if you're a brand, definitely there's value. If you're a consumer of the content, there may not be as much value other than firsthand experience of meeting the people. But besides that, if you're not a practitioner, maybe there's not as much value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think there was more to do as a creator, but yeah, like it's totally down to like if you really want to sort of go to these places because you want to see like the favorite YouTubers and stuff, then maybe it's worth it for you.
And one thing that's interesting is you say YouTubers so much in that conversation. Was there people saying Snapchatters, and do you think that becomes a thing, or do you think ultimately it just becomes content creators that create content in multiple platforms? What's kind of your thoughts to that?
Yeah, there was a lot of people who were like, "Oh, Snapchat, is that a thing?" Because the Snapchat community, it's my favorite community because of creators and influencers, because it's so like tight knit. There's probably maybe like, I don't know, like 50 to 100 Snapchat influencers, and everyone kind of knows each other or is talking all the time and stuff. So it's a really nice knit community. And a lot of people sort of saying, oh, it's like the early days of what YouTube was. But I think VidCon, I think it primarily, like, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it started out as just like a YouTube thing. Like I believe it's like the creators are like both YouTubers. So that was primarily like the people who were there doing talks, but then there was a lot of industry panels or talking about like there was a Musical.ly stage there and people talking about like Facebook and Instagram. So it's the whole internet social space. Yeah, it's just like everywhere you went, you saw someone with the classic Casey Neistat set up with like a Canon on a like gorilla pod and mine, making
that's awesome.
videos, which was awesome. So it was cool to meet a bunch of different content creators as well, and it was definitely interesting when people are like, oh, so what do you do? And you're like, oh, I make films on Snapchat. And they're like, oh, cool, that's like a primary thing, and like you get into this like great conversation.
Well, I have definitely a lot of questions related to the business side of things, but I don't think we'll use this conversation to go there, such as, you know, what is the long-term game plan for a Snapchat, or how are you monetizing, things of that nature. But I want to stay focused on VidCon. So thank you for sharing so much. I guess one question I would ask, Andy, is why should somebody, in your opinion, follow you on Snapchat? What is it of the content you're putting out that may intrigue somebody in following you?
Sure. Yeah. What I think, and I guess what people like a lot about my style of content is because it's all vertical video, right? All filmed on my phone. I'm trying to take the I guess like a vlog, like proper camera setup, edited video. I'm trying to take that onto mobile and share a different perspective through like social media apps. So primarily Snapchat, you have hold down on the screen, you have 10 seconds to share a snap, and then it goes into your story. I try to push that, or like do it in unique ways, that I can share what I'm doing, but it's in the moment rather than going home and editing a full vlog and uploading it the next day. It's right there in the moment. And I travel around a lot. I was in the States for a good couple of months, traveling around California, so I'm always sort of going on trips. And people sometimes give me stick for where I put my phone sometimes, because sometimes I just leave it in the corner of a road and we'll walk off to get the shot. But I'm as long as I get the shot, that's all that matters to me. So it's very cinematic. So it's quite different to what you usually see on Snapchat, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. From what I've watched, I agree 100%, but it's neat to understand that you can use a phone and you can use a tool to make it feel cinematic. And that's the reason I like it, because I am not a Final Cut editor. I am not a cinematic type of videographer, but I understand the value of stories. I enjoy telling stories, and you can do it all with your thumb, a phone, and the internet and Snapchat and some other tools, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's totally why I got into it, because I was like, oh, okay, I don't really know how to use the DSLR that well, but I know I have a phone and I can tell stories. Yeah, so exactly like you said, and I was just pushing as much as I could, and like, I can edit a bit and stuff, but now from doing this, I'm getting more into wanting to work with cameras and stuff and actual, like, old school or proper filmmaking. But it's just anyone can pick up a phone, film a video and put it on the internet, and if they have a story to tell, like, in their pocket.
That's great. And I think another reason this is definitely a compliment to you, Andy. You are more than open to share. I think that's a change in business mentality, a change in creator mentality. So many people wanted to keep their cards close related to here's how I do things. And I just know in reaching out to you through Twitter, through just trying to set this up really spur of the moment, right? You're just willing to share because it helps you learn, and vice versa. You're giving value. So that's why someone should follow you, because you are happy to share equipment, ideas, strategies, what's working, what's not working. You're very open to that.
100%, because as well, and also the way I look at it, because Snapchat originally is a messaging app, I think this is why I like it so much. I can communicate with these people so easily and so quickly, and the fact that all these people are taking like 3 or 4 minutes out of their day to sit down and watch my stories, and this is what I like about Snapchat compared to like maybe Instagram stories, is you have the autoplay function, right? On Snapchat, people have to literally click on my name to watch my story. So they are choosing to watch through that every day. So the least I can do is reply to their questions or help them with advice, or wherever I can, just respond to them with a video message. It's so simple. So yeah, I try to get back to everyone and bring as much value as I can, as well as sort of sharing my perspective on what I do every day.
That's great. Well, thank you, Andy, for your time. I have to go meet with a commercial real estate client, so I'm going to end it here. But I think this is the first of several conversations, and I look forward to learning more about what you're doing, and also see the climb, because it's still yet the beginning of creating content, creating films in short form on mobile. And I know you're on the cutting edge of it. That's for sure.
Thank you, dude. Yeah, thank you so much. And yes, we will 100% do this again.
Awesome.